Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is finally breaking out above this massive 2-year line of resistance, while Ethereum is also still forming this bullish pattern on the 3-day time frame. But while this is happening, both Bitcoin and Ethereum are running into these shorter-term areas of resistance, which I'll talk about in just a moment, so definitely stick around. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin charts, because right now, as of recording this video, we are finally seeing the price of Bitcoin break out above this significant descending line of resistance that has been forming since 2 years ago. Because as we can see all the way back here in November 2021, almost 2 years ago, this line of resistance began to play out with rejections back in November, December 2021, also rejections during early April 2022. And here on the weekly chart, we can see multiple rejections throughout the month of July, entering into early August this year. And only a couple of weeks ago, with that recent short-term pullback around 1 to 2 weeks ago, we did actually see a small rejection from this same line of resistance before the recent breakout. But once again, right now, as I recorded in this video, we are finally seeing an attempted breakout in the price of Bitcoin on the weekly time frame above this massive descending line of resistance. But technically speaking, this breakout on the weekly chart still needs to be confirmed with at least a weekly candle close above this line of resistance. And in case you're wondering, this line of resistance is sitting at around 27.8k to 27.9k, so close to 28k. Basically, if we close this weekly candle above 28k, then that can help to confirm the breakout to the upside. And on top of the breakout in the price, what we are also seeing is a breakout play out here in the weekly RSI. Because as you can see here in the weekly Bitcoin RSI, ever since around April this year, we have been seeing a descending line of resistance play out in the RSI. But right now, with the recent breakout in the price, we are also seeing that recent breakout in the RSI, which is another sign of strength if this confirms with a weekly candle close, which happens in around 2 days from now. And in case you're wondering where I would be targeting next, if we first confirm the breakout above this descending line of resistance, and also if we confirm a breakout above the local highs sitting back during July at around 31,500 to 32k, then basically if we confirm a breakout above 32k, then next I'll be targeting towards this area right here, sitting in between around 36,000 to 38,000. And I'll be targeting that as a significant area of resistance due to 2 different reasons. First of all, we have significant support back here during Q1 of 2022, which should now act as new resistance. Anytime where we break below support, that often becomes new resistance. And on top of that, if you're taking a look at the Fibonacci retracement tool from all-time high down to the bear market low on the linear settings, we have the 38.2% Fibonacci level of resistance sitting at almost exactly $36,000 per Bitcoin, acting as resistance. And so once again, around 36 to 38k is the next significant resistance. But remember, we first need to confirm a breakout above this range high right here, above 32,000, before we can start looking towards these higher price targets at 36 to 38,000. So once again, these higher price targets, this next level of resistance is not yet in play. We would first need to see a confirmed breakout above these range highs. But once again, as I've been saying since the very beginning of this year, technically speaking, the larger trend at play here on the 3-day time frame and the weekly time frame is looking more bullish than bearish in terms of the significant higher lows and higher highs. Obviously, this is bullish price structure on the larger time frames, and technically speaking, this hidden bullish divergence on the 3-day chart is still currently active and playing out, as I talked about, since all the way back down here. And so once again, as I said back then, this is basically a signal on the chart telling us we're likely going to continue that larger bullish trend with another leg to the upside in this bullish trend. And in case you're wondering, the point of invalidation for the bullish trend would simply be a breakdown into lower lows below these previous lows. So basically, if we confirm a break back below around 25k, then that would be a strong bearish signal in regards to the larger bullish trend here on the larger timeframes. But in case you're new to this channel, it is important to understand the difference between the longer term trend and shorter term trends. For example, I've been saying since the very beginning of this year non-stop that the price is looking more bullish than bearish on the larger scale. I have not changed at all since the beginning of the year, but this larger trend is different from shorter term trends. For example, it's possible to experience experience shorter term bearish trends within a larger bullish trend if you're looking at different timeframes. So obviously this bullish trend is clearly visible here on the 3-day chart, but if you're looking at the 1-day chart or the 8-hour chart, for example, we can clearly see these shorter term bearish trends play out, for example, during around July and September. But when you're here on a larger time frame like the 3-day chart or the weekly chart, those short-term bearish trends look simply like pullbacks within a bullish trend on the larger time frames. And now, just before getting into some other important Bitcoin and Ethereum charts, first quickly reminding you that there's a massive exclusive Apple Watch giveaway happening over at Bitflex, and this giveaway will be drawn in less than 1 month from now. And how to enter the giveaway is to simply sign up to Bitflex using the link down below in the description or in the pinned comment, and after you do that, simply deposit 100 USDT or more and make one trade on the derivatives market over at Bitflex, and that will automatically enter you into the giveaway in the running for that brand new Apple Watch Series 8, which, by the way, once again is an exclusive giveaway, so only those of you who have signed up using the link down below in the description or in the pinned comment can actually enter this giveaway. But anyway, getting back into the Bitcoin part of this video, looking at the daily Bitcoin chart, what we can clearly see now is a breakout in the daily RSI above this previous high. And so once again, as I talked about over the last couple of days, we did have a potential bearish divergence forming on the daily time frame, but like I said, for the last few days, we don't really have a lot of confirmation for the bearish divergence because we haven't really seen a strong rejection here in the RSI. And so once again, like I explained in my last few videos, we need to see a further rejection here in the daily Bitcoin RSI with a rejection in the price, ideally back below 28K, in order to be more confident in the bearish divergence actually confirming and playing out. But once again, that did not end up happening. We did not end up seeing daily candle closes back below 28K. And so instead, we ended up seeing another move to the upside, which pulled the RSI further to the upside, now into higher highs. So once again, as I warned about in my last video, this is a potential outcome we need to consider because we haven't really confirmed the bearish divergence. And especially if you're looking at the daily Bitcoin MACD, which is currently looking more bullish than bearish. Once again, as I said in my last video, this is showing bullish momentum in terms of the trend. It's just right now, the MACD and the histogram is not really showing as much momentum compared to some of these previous moves. And so I would not necessarily expect a massive high momentum movement straight to the upside like what we saw around the middle of March. And instead, we're likely to see less momentum because that's simply what the MACD is showing. But it's unlikely that this move right here will continue straight above the resistance at around 31,500 approximately back at this local high. Because if you're looking at the daily Bitcoin RSI, even though that potential bearish divergence is completely invalidated right now, what we are now seeing is the daily Bitcoin RSI enter into overbought territories, which basically means we have somewhat limited room to the upside, at least in the somewhat shorter term relative to the daily time frame. And if you're looking at the last couple of times where we've seen the daily Bitcoin RSI enter into overbought territories, we saw this happen back around the 22nd to 23rd of June approximately. And what we could see in the Bitcoin price during that time was basically we had limited room to the upside. As we can clearly see, the price basically stopped going to the upside, and instead over the next couple of weeks we actually saw a lot of choppy sideways price action, with the price making a slightly higher high but not really going a lot higher. And if you're looking at the time before that, we saw the RSI enter into overbought territories around the 12th of April and also around the 19th and 18th of March. And if you're looking at both of those examples, we saw 18th to 19th of March right here. Obviously, at that point, we had limited room to the upside for at least the next 1 to 2 weeks. We saw a lot of choppy sideways price action, helping to reset the RSI, which can actually give us more room to the upside later on. But obviously, that room to the upside was still somewhat limited because the RSI moved straight back into overbought territories once again around the 12th to 13th of April approximately. And at that time, once again, we had limited room to the upside on the daily time frame. So of course, it's not impossible for the price to perhaps go a little bit higher, possibly into this area of resistance in between around 30,500 to 31,500. But just remember, the RSI is entering into overbought territories, meaning we have limited room to the upside on the daily chart, and we are due to see some sort of cool off over the next 1 to 2 weeks, which usually plays out in the form of either choppy sideways price action, if not a slight pullback, as the most common outcomes. And just staying on the daily Bitcoin chart, looking at these important levels of resistance and support, support. First of all, obviously, we have flipped this previous area of resistance into new support, as I also explained in my last 1 to 2 videos, and that area is sitting in between around 27.9k to 28.2k, now acting as support. And as I also mentioned in my last few videos, we do have these levels of resistance. First of all, this higher area of resistance sitting in between around 30.2k to 30.4k approximately, where we have just recently seen a perfect rejection from over the last few hours or so. And as for this area of resistance, which could now act as new support, this is sitting in between around 29.1k to 29.4k approximately. And so the bullish scenario here would simply be the price holding above this area that I just mentioned. If we can do that and form some sort of sideways consolidation to help reset the RSI, giving us more room to the upside later on, that would be the bullish scenario here. But of course, for the Bitcoin bears out there, you would be hoping for the price to actually break back below around 29k, give or take, because in that scenario, we would likely head back down to this area of support, once again in between around 27.9k to 28.2k. And as for short-term support and resistance, obviously we do have a bit of resistance at around 30.2k, as I just mentioned. And as for short-term support, we have this level of support at around 28.8k to 28.9k. And below that, we also have support at around 28.1k, around 27.4k, and the golden pocket in between around 26.6k to 26.8k. And if you're looking at the Bitcoin funding rates, right now, a lot of the Bitcoin funding rates are back towards their neutral levels, around 0 to 0.01%. And so once again, I explained in my last video on the channel, a lot of these funding rates were sitting in the negative territory, telling us we're likely going to see some sort of short squeeze, which I said in my last video will help the price of Bitcoin move to the upsides. And now this has actually played out. Once again, the funding rates are no longer really negative, which basically means the short squeeze is essentially over. But anyway, getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this is on the 3-day ETH to US dollar chart, and right now the price of ETH is still forming this giant falling wedge pattern on the 3-day time frame. And statistically speaking, a falling wedge breaks out to the upside around 2/3 of the time and breaks to the downside roughly around 1/3 of the time. So of course it is possible to see a break to the downside. It's just technically speaking that's the less likely scenario. But of course, in order to actually confirm the pattern and confirm the technical price targets to the upside, we need to first see a confirmed breakout above this line of resistance, which is sitting at around 1.7k approximately. And by the way, this support is sitting at around 1520. And now if we do end up seeing a confirmed breakout with confirmation, like for example, candle closes above this line of resistance, above 1.7k, then in that case, looking at the technical price target to the upside for this falling wedge pattern, that price target would be sitting at around 2.1k approximately. And so if you measure out that move from the point of the breakout to that price target, that is more than a 20% move to the upside. But once again, it is important to remember that that bullish price target and this pattern only come into play. They only activate if we first confirm a breakout above this resistance, which obviously as of right now has not yet happened. And now if you're looking at the daily ETH to US dollar chart, right now as of recording this video, the price is actually experiencing a small rejection again from this important area of resistance, still sitting in between around 1620 to 1660. And so for the Ethereum bulls out there, obviously we would need to see a confirmed breakout back above 1660 and ideally flip that into new support in order to flip much more bullish and head back up towards these highs, sitting closer towards around 1730 to 1750, give or take. And as for the daily Ethereum price oscillators, right now, as of recording this video, we are actually beginning to see a possible bullish cross here in the daily Ethereum MACD, showing, yes, an increase in bullish momentum, but at least for now, we are not seeing a lot of momentum compared to some of these previous moves once again. But if you're looking at the daily Ethereum RSI, obviously, we're still technically seeing these higher lows continue to form and play out, which means the bullish divergence is still technically active here on the daily time frame. And so as I've been saying almost every day over the last 1 week, this bullish divergence basically tells us we're due to see either a bullish relief in the shorter term, if not choppy sideways price action over the next 1 week from where we are right now, or over the next 2 weeks from where the bullish divergence confirmed. And as for significant levels of support and resistance, these significant levels of support have not changed over the last 1 day here on the daily time frame. So if you're new to the channel, check out my last video on the channel to find out more about these levels right here. And as for short-term support and resistance, looking at the 6-hour chart, just recently we have seen a perfect rejection from the 50% retracement level sitting at around 1630, which is a level of resistance in the short term I've been talking about recently on the channel. But in a more bullish scenario, if we actually saw a confirmed breakout back above 1630, then in that case, the next important resistance, at least in the short term, is sitting in between around 1660 to 1670, which is the golden pocket and also based on previous resistance. And as for short-term levels of support, we could find some support right here at around 1600 to 1605, but if we see a break back below 1.6k, then expect the next support sitting at around 1570, and below that we also have some more support down towards around 1530 to 1540, give or take. And now, if you want to know how to maximize your profits in crypto, no matter if the price is going to the upside, to the downside, or simply chopping around sideways like Ethereum is right now, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to make money if the price is bullish or bearish using AI, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.